This is The Daily Divide. Health New Zealand is under fire for refusing to reveal how much it pays private hospitals for elective surgeries, with critics warning taxpayers can't judge if they are getting value for money. The secrecy comes as thousands of operators are outsourced under the government's elective boost, with another 21,000 planned next year. Labour's Alicia Verrill says the public deserves costs and performance data, noting overseas evidence shows outsourcing is often more expensive. 6 months in, Health New Zealand admits it still doesn't have outcome data from private providers. Meanwhile, internal documents show officials are exploring public-private partnerships to manage rising costs, a move critics call a slippery slope towards an American-style health system. All this as the government touts a record $237 billion infrastructure pipeline, with $30 billion of new projects added in the past quarter. The government is under pressure over big fee hikes for Crown board members, with critics warning it could come at the expense of frontline services. A cabinet review has lifted the maximum annual fee for board chairs from $90,000 to $160,000, an increase of up to 80%. Ministers say the rises are needed to attract top talent and bring pay closer to private sector levels after a decade of stagnation. That sounds familiar. But the Greens argue agencies will now face impossible choices, like paying big bosses more or hiring nurses and teachers, while ordinary workers get far smaller pay bumps. Public Service Minister Judith Collins insists no new funding will be provided and agencies must cover the cost with existing budgets. She says the boards should reprioritise or find efficiencies, but essential services must not be cut. The opposition says rewarding governance roles while underfunding frontline staff sends the wrong message amid a cost of living crisis. The government's plan to break up Te Pukenga and return polytechnics to regional control has sparked warnings it could backfire on its job seeker reduction goals. Officials say up to 257 qualifications could be cut and 620 jobs lost, and many learners, especially those with low prior achievement or disabilities, may be left without local study options. That could mean fewer beneficiaries moving into training and more stuck on the dole long term. The Greens call it devastating. Labour wants financials made public, but Minister Penny Simmons insists access will be protected, with $20 million set aside to keep unviable courses running. Meanwhile, ex-leader David Seymour has had to strip back his proposal for a 4-year parliamentary term after MPs deemed it too complex. The Select Committee has binned the idea of variable terms tied to opposition control of Select Committees, but says the case for longer terms should go to a referendum. Seymour now backs a simpler 4-year term, but only if new checks are placed on government powers. Labour supports the shift in principle, while critics warn giving governments an extra year without safeguards could be a hard sell to voters. Australia has expelled Iran's ambassador, the first time since World War II, after blaming Tehran for arson attacks on a Jewish cafe in Sydney and a synagogue in Melbourne. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said the attacks were orchestrated by Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, which Australia will now move to designate a terrorist organisation. New Zealand Foreign Minister Winston Peters condemned Iran's state-sponsored attacks and said officials had raised concerns with Iran's ambassador in Wellington, but unlike Australia, New Zealand has stopped short of expulsion. Meanwhile, the government here is weighing recognition of Palestine before UN General Assembly in September. Peters is keeping details close, but says it's a matter of when, not if. Prime Minister Christopher Luxon has criticised Israel's offensive in Gaza and its West Bank settlement expansion, calling for a humanitarian access to Gaza, though he and Peters have struck different tones on Israel's leadership. Outdoor education and tourism teachers are warning that the government's overhaul of NCA could sideline their subjects. Under the proposed changes, both may be reclassified as vocational rather than academic, shifting responsibility for curriculum from the Ministry of Education to the new Industry Skills Board. Education Outdoors New Zealand said it will strip outdoor education of its academic value, reducing it to unit standards like mountain biking, while ignoring leadership, navigation and risk management. Tourism teachers argue years of working building a rigorous subject would be undone, pushing it back to be seen as a filler, despite tourism's role as a top export earner. Technology educators also worry vocational courses will be shaped by short-term labour needs. narrowing students' choice for the future. Principals warn downgrading subjects like outdoor pursuits would rob university-bound students of important holistic learning. The new qualification system replacing NCTA from 2028 is still under consultation.